Toy collecting. What drives a collector, an individual, to start collecting in the first place? Is it nostalgia? Is it because they like the toys itself or the brand? Is it core memories that they share with loved ones? Every bit of collecting has some sort of answer, and so we decided we're going to go and dive deep into the world of toy collecting to see exactly what drives individuals to start their collection in the first place, or what is a key factor to a collector and what they look for in the items they collect.
Star Wars. Yeah, I think I'm too young.
Because I remember just getting like a bucket of Legos and I had to use my imagination to like build
into it. So I actually have one of his All-Star Cert pieces. He's 14 now, but he still keeps all those Pokemon cards
from over 20 years ago, right here. This is where it all started.
The first topic I think you'll have a good amount to say about is Star Wars. So any stories you have, your own story, obviously you have a collection, anything like that goes. So I'll give you the floor.
Well, what can I say about Star Wars? It's what drove me to get my career in the film industry. In fact, I actually have my first lightsaber that I made from over 20 years ago, right here. This is where it all started, just machining this guy up. He is out of pure stock aluminum, and from that, I just started making the sabers from there, making big toys for big boys. But I've collected figures since I was 5 years old, when my cousin first gave me the Return of the Jedi Rancor figure, which is up my display cabinet behind me here. I've had a lot of experiences brought in and over because of Star Wars. It's hard to list off everything that have happened with it. Like I've got to meet and work with Mark Hamill because of it. It's just the passion from the toys that started everything out, really. Like I have everything I can think of because of Star Wars toys.
When what's it like now as an adult collecting Star Wars, as opposed to, obviously when you're a kid and you don't really have any and I don't know, has the game of collecting changed beyond just the factor grown up and have more money? Has it changed as far as just the who's collecting the toys from what you can see?
As I got older, yeah, the factor of collecting has changed for me. Namely, it's just more of the targeted collections I want to do. Like, I'm not too much of a fan of the newer iteration of characters. Namely, like the post-original trilogy characters, so characters like Rey, Finn, and all them, not really too fond of collecting. But back when it was the original Expanded Universe collectibles, I enjoyed collecting them. And anything from the ancient era of the Star Wars storyline, such as the Tales of the Jedi comics and whatnot, would be more where I'd be collecting from. I just find those stories will be a little bit more interesting than the stuff that was made post-sequel Disney franchise. In terms of the collecting of things too, yeah, it is a little bit harder to try to collect some things as an adult, because you may have all the money to buy things, but you also have the money about worrying to pay for things in the future. So you kind of have to pick and choose which expensive toy you want versus the many cheap toys to have, and find the space for all of them.
Does it bring back childhood memories when you get a new toy? Does it almost make you feel like a kid?
Yes and no. It depends on the character and what the toy is that I'm collecting. If it's something from when I was a kid, like if say someone from the Power of the Force series, that was the line that I grew up with as a child. Uh, and if it's a character that I had a personal involvement with, like I have two Star Wars characters that I was the model for. One being a Sith Lord from the Star Wars Old Republic video game, Teneb Kel, who becomes Darth Thanaton in the video game. So it really just depends on the connection that I have with the characters or the piece that's being given to me.
I love Star Wars. I grew up with it. I loved all the movies, and the prequels themselves, believe it or not, are actually my favorite. I know it's taboo, but it's something that I always enjoyed. Some of the things that I started collecting with Star Wars were different types of lightsabers. I went to a comic book convention years and years and years ago, and there was these people that put on like a whole epic Jedi battle, and they built their own lightsabers. They did their own things. And me, I'm a tinkerer. I'm an engineer, so I always like to build and tinker. So started looking into how to build lightsabers, different things like that, and then I ended up making one. I ended up making some, and I was collecting a few different ones, and they're pretty cool. Unfortunately, I don't really have any of the ones I made anymore because that was years and years ago, maybe circa 2007. So what are we talking, almost 14 years now? But
Hi, Cody. How are you doing? Sam Witwer here. Cool questions. Was I a Star Wars fan before I started working on it? The answer is absolutely yes. Almost my entire generation, we were born into it. You weren't growing up when I was growing up without having seen those films, likely in the theater, and having just been in love with them. And then when VHS came out, watching them over and over again and memorizing those films. And since we only had 3 movies, and Star Wars kind of went away after that, me and my friends, we played the Star Wars role-playing game. I have all the old books here. These were extraordinary because they were, they taught you about the world beyond the confines of the frame, that you saw in the films. So, and so much of this stuff influenced where canon went because George was very generous. If he liked something that these folks did, for example, naming the planet Coruscant, for example, and he went with it. So it was a way of learning. Oh my God, there's a crystal inside the lightsaber. Did you know that? And the Boba Fett's armor is called Mandalorian battle armor. What does that mean? And all this wonderful stuff. So that's where we initially learned about all that stuff. In terms of favorite moments working on Star Wars stuff, there have been too many to count. There hasn't been a single moment that I've been working on those things where I didn't feel like it was the most special thing that I could be doing with my time. Really, really extraordinary. I do remember, Dave has always been really generous and given me every chance to succeed by giving me as much information as possible. We talked for months before we recorded Maul at all because I think we were just terrified we were going to ruin that character for the fans. But I recall, we discussed Gollum because he wanted him to have a little bit of a pathetic quality. We talked about Colonel Kurtz from Apocalypse Now, and then we talked about Khan from Star Trek, and we sort of mixed all those characteristics and characters together to try to figure out who Maul was. And then I remember the first time I was recording Maul, I was in the booth alone, and he's Spider Maul, so not only am I showing off what the character sounds like, but he's quite insane. And I do my first run of crazy stuff, and that stuff, the crazy stuff wasn't written, so I had to come up with a bunch of things. So I was saying all this crazy stuff, and then they say cut, and then 5 seconds passes, and then 10, and then 20 seconds. Leonard, I'm telling a story here. I'm telling a story. Are you being a bad kid? Are you being bad? Anyway, after like 30 or 40, felt like 30 or 40 seconds. And I'm sitting there like, oh, they hate it. Because it's Dave and a whole bunch of Lucasfilm behind glass, and I'm standing in the booth alone. And I was terrified. I'm like, oh, I guess I really blew it. I'm standing there like completely exposed, like an idiot. And then Dave finally looks up and sees me, and then he hits the talkback button. He's like, oh, Sam, I'm so sorry. Yeah, no, we are discussing my infinite wisdom in giving you this role. And at that point, I'm like, oh my God, okay, thank God. So it went from, oh my God, we've ruined the character to, okay, maybe we have a chance. So anyway, thank you for being patient with our work on that.